Hello everybody and welcome to the January 2025 update from Clydebridge Station. And first of all, a very happy new year to all of you, and let's hope that there's some great modelling in the coming year. In this month's update, I'm going to be starting work on rebuilding the street scene, which is called Westgate Road. I'm also going to be taking a look in more detail at this locomotive that you saw in the December 2024 update briefly. And I'll be talking about a couple of purchases as well as the Class 56 that I got at the Cooper Model Railway Club Christmas show. If you've got any comments, queries or suggestions, then please leave them in the comments below and I look forward to reading them. Please also follow Clydebridge Station on Blue Sky and on Facebook as well. And if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell icon so you can be notified of when new videos appear on this YouTube channel. It's roughly one per calendar month at least. There's going to be a slight change to the format of the videos this year as well. In previous years, I've always gave shoutouts to various layouts, various people during the programmes. But I've been given advice that could actually have more of a detrimental effect on my layout and my channel, because people might stop watching a video a quarter of the way through and go and look at another video or channel and not return to me. To get around this problem, what I'm going to be doing from now on is giving 2 or 3 shoutouts at the end of a video. And these will just be random layouts that or random people that I'll have picked and thought, right, let's give them a shout out. In addition to that, the videos themselves will still follow the same procedure. I'll be doing something, I might take a break from it for a minute, talk about something else and then go back to the main job. There might occasionally be links in the top right hand corner for you to go and have a look at, but only where it's relevant to what I'm doing. And in fact, there's going to be an example this month where I am going to have to do that. But otherwise, it's just going to be the same railway modelling videos that I've been doing on this channel since 2018, and hopefully you will enjoy them. One thing doesn't change. All aboard and enjoy the programme. Let's go. The first main task of the year is to start work on rebuilding the street scene, and this will be done in the January and February updates. It's going to involve me putting scale model scenery modelling card down on top of this road surface, and there'll be new pavements getting made. I've ordered some pavements and I do have this feeling that I will be needing them. I'm hoping to get away with taking these up and then putting them down, but likes of this, I'll be replacing them with new ones, and they'll be sprayed with a silver rather than painted with a silver paint, so we won't be needing that again. The first phase of this will also see me reinstate double yellow lines, but you can see I've got some drains there, but the lines go and it doesn't look right at all. What I'll be doing instead is cutting holes and putting drain covers in. It'll also help eliminate, like, see where these screws are. The Quadrant Park nightclub is going to be rebuilt in the February update. Now what's going to happen there is, I'll just put the building there, it's actually going to cover the same footprint in terms of length, but its width is going to be slightly different. It's actually, if I actually can put the camera down here and show you where that is going to be the new width of it. But that will be done in the February update. It's going to be based on Truth Nightclub in Leven. More about that another day. Radio Rentals is going to get rebuilt too. Instead of a felt roof, I'm going to put on here a tiled roof. The other problem we've got with radio rentals, and I'll just put it back up there now, and that's something that we're going to be doing on this update today, is I'll just pick one of these figures up from the station, and I'm just going to show you there. You can't really see in. Windows should be that sort of size, or something not that high up that people struggle to see in. And I'll be rebuilding radio rentals. It'll have the same footprint, and I might be able to reuse the roof and the signage. But what I'm also going to do when I rebuild radio rentals in this video is try and put a back scene into it as well. So that'll be coming off. That car will have to temporarily move up here, and you'll notice as well that I've swept away some of the muck that's here at the moment. There we go. I think we've got that confirmed already, that I am going to need to get new pavements down here after all. I don't think I'm going to be able to reuse them now. Any items that I use, I'll try and put the links to them in the description below. And the other thing that's got to change here is the road colour is black. In the top right hand corner is a video from Scale Model Scenery, a supposedly 10-minute topic, but it took a little bit longer than that, where Justin Noble explains about roads and various different things, and he actually makes an interesting point. He says, don't use black, please don't use black. Guess who used black? I've got the road markings acquired from Scale Model Scenery. I've got the modelling card that I'll use along here, and I've also got the grey primer to get. That'll just then get a little touch of black added to it, so I could then go ahead and paint the road surface as it were. Now, the one other thing I must make a point out about is that I know that this area needs redoing, but that's a job for another time. The main task is to get this sorted out here. I'm going to simply leave this on here and just apply the new grey boards on top of this, thus raising the height slightly, and it will then allow me to have a, hopefully a much smoother road surface than what we've got here. And I can assure you right now, and I can assure Justin Noble right now, it won't be black. To take these up, I'll need to somehow prise them off, and I need to keep at least one of them now, because I'll need to actually measure the length of them for putting back down. The quadrant park will come off as well now, and that'll need to be put somewhere safe. And whoops a daisy, did you hear me? That'll need to be put somewhere safe. And these pieces of equipment I'm just going to put here. Obviously the street furniture will get added to later, such as new street lights. Rather than using the ones there from Pavements, which I'm going to actually put into the railway station concourse instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to acquire more of these from PD Marsh Models, and they'll be used on the street scene here instead. Going along the street scene, I'm intending to also eventually replace this with a small low relief building. I'll see how I go with that. The layout up here will be exactly the same as it currently is, only be on a new road surface. My intention is to do the first two bits of grey board modelling card in this update and build radio rentals, and we'll get that done. Now I'm going to arm myself with a little screwdriver, and at the start of the work, let's see how easy these come off. This second one is the important one, because I need it to come off. And you can see there, I will need to obviously replace them. So I did the right thing in the end in ordering a new one. Now, that's come off like that. I can use that bit, however, to measure the length that I'm going to need for the first piece, pieces here. I'll probably go and soak these actually and get them off. But I've kept that one there the now next to 47375 because I'll need that. I'm not going to sit. I'm not going to have you watching paint dry or me up. I'll put in everything now. Out of interest, the amount of street furniture you can put on will vary from location to location. What I mean by that is, in a rural area, you're not going to have lots of street lights, you're not going to have lots of telephone boxes or junction boxes or the like. Whereas here in an urban scene it's going to be a bit different, especially given the fact that part of this street scene is on the extremities of the town centre. That doesn't matter about that bit there. So I've waffled on enough for a little bit. I'm going to go and carry on and get this removed and as smooth as possible, and then I'll explain to you what happens next with the modelling card. With the pavements all up for the first phase, I've got the tape measure here and I have a pen. I've measured this already and it's looking approximately like 17.5 centimetres from the curb here towards the excuse me, the back seam. Now I'm going to place the camera down here just for a minute to show you what it's like up here. And if I go right up to the curb, yep, and just about 17.5 centimetres is what it is there. I'll get the tape measure put down, and basically the modelling card I'll measure 17.5 there, 17.5 there, here and here. Get a line drawn and then cut it. It won't be getting painted yet, so it needs to be put into place and measured. The first two will fit in there because if I put that pen there, I know this will lead to a possible gap. So it might just be, move that a minute, it might just be, I might just get away with the first two bits before removing the next section. And obviously that next section, if I need to remove it, I will remove it, and the building will just come off temporarily. The pieces that are cut off will not be going to waste now because I may well need to use them on the rebuilt Quadrant Park nightclub. This is just 1mm grey board modelling card from Scale Model Scenery. You can use other thicknesses if you so wish, but I've went for this one. It's just personal choice, really. I'm going to experiment on the colour scheme by putting a couple of cheap artist paints down on a scrap piece. I'll try and mix these together and see what it comes to, how good it is. If it doesn't look very good, I'll get grey primer and add this to it. And it won't be getting glued onto the layout until it's actually drying. The thing about the artist's acrylic paints is they do dry quite quickly. You can also see here that other problems as well, because I used Pritt Stick to glue these pavements down originally, and you can see the sort of problems. The pavements that were getting made with laser cut kit glue and Yoo-hoo glue, and these buildings are quite easy to come off. That's the first two sheets now done and just placed on. You may not be aware that there's a little curb running along there. If I zoom the camera in, oh, wrong way, I don't know how well the camera picks that up behind the bus shelter, but just there's a little curb running. I'm removing that. There's really no need for that on here. But these are the first two that's now been completed. They'll get glued down eventually, but they're really just for test fitting. I'm just wanting to see how it looks with radial rentals on the now. Notice I've managed to salvage the roof from that. I'll take radial rentals off and come back here. These two are now ready to be painted. I had a little experiment using those acrylic paints. That's what the mix looks like, and that's how it's turned out on the scrap piece of grey board. It looks okay. It does look okay. But I'm going to get thoughts of a couple other people as I film this to see what they think before choosing whether to proceed or not with it. The only problem I'll have is realistically getting it all the same colour going along. So that's going to be my real challenge. I'm thinking the possibility of putting some black and white into an empty drinks bottle, a small fruit shoot bottle perhaps, and then using that to paint the road surface, pouring some onto the grey boards, and then that way we've actually got a proper surface. An alternative might be an empty PVA tub. Now down here, this one's not empty yet, but damn well near is. So maybe a small tub like that. I'll have a hunt in the house. I'll just put him back down there. But I'll have a hunt in the house and see what else I can actually get. But that certainly looks it's a little bit dark, but it's lighter than this. It's not black, so I might get away with that. But as I say, I'll see what other people think. But like I say, these will have to get painted and then glued down. We'll look at that later on in the programme, trying to carry on with this project of rebuilding the street scene. So while they're getting painted and the paint's drying, they're getting glued down onto the surface, we'll take a look at, in more detail, 47375. Well, this was one of the Christmas presents that I bought from Me to Me. You saw it in an earlier video on this YouTube channel, 56135 in real freight coal livery. But this was the locomotive you saw just before the end of the December update, 47375. And I'm going to go into a bit more detail with it here for you. 47375 is a Bachmann machine that was purchased from the Kernow Model Railway Centre at Camborne, and had its decoder fitted by Jim at Scooney Hobbies in Kirkcaldy the day before the 2024 Cooper Model Railway Club Christmas exhibition. She carries the name Tinsley Traction Depot Quality Approved, and she also has her etched nameplates here. These will be applied straight after I've filmed this sequence. I won't show you a running shot of the locomotive right now because the station area is full, although that's going to be part of something that I'm going to be doing as well. I'm going to be building the storage area for some more stuff. But anyway, back to the locomotive. This is a Bachmann product, and it was a heavily reduced price, so I just had to go for it, and it gave me 4 of the 5 subsectors of rail freight as they would have been from 1987 to 1994. The layout is set in the 88 to 91 period, so this is a natural fit in, although the livery itself dates the locomotive from 1993 onwards. It's worth mentioning that I've had to use a bit of modeller's license here, namely that it is slightly out with the period. That said, David Watson with the Dean Park station layout, he's actually got an RES liveried 47, and the number it carries, it only got that in 1993 for the RailNet programme. So, as I say, there's a wee bit of artistic license. The livery that 47375 carries is the European version of the rail freight distribution livery, and this was applied to locomotives for the start of services through the Channel Tunnel. It had previously carried the original rail freight distribution livery, which saw the dark grey band higher up the locomotive and thinner as a result, coming along that way. The locomotive is very well presented with white wheel walls. It has the Tinsley Traction Depot quality approved name on it, and it has the Tinsley Depot crest, which if I just turn there you can actually see. The locomotive, to put the camera up, has a blue roof on it, so this is in pristine condition, not weathered condition. And the locomotive also has got the rail freight style cab numbers. Put it at that end so you can see it, the cab numbers on the cab end. Notice that it doesn't carry the BR symbol on it. Again, this was the Rail Freight Distribution European livery, so the numbers were actually much lower down, as you can see. Mind you, I could tell you there were quite a few BR locomotives in Rail Freight livery, subsector livery, that didn't have the BR symbols on them. 47599 is one of those locomotives. The detail on the bogies has been superbly picked out, as you can see there. As I say, this would be have carried things like this probably for the launch of the Rail Freight Distribution European livery. It wasn't for a naming ceremony because it had these plates as far back as 1991. The engine room windows have also had the white put round them, which I think is a very nice touch. This is the current Bachmann tooling, so you can see how well the detail is. The actual fuel gauge, you can just see that there is visible, and the orange piping that you see there too, and the battery box covers. The detail is very, very good on these. The suspension springs, bring it along a little bit, okay, are all picked out in the correct silver. I mean, if you were wanting to actually have this as a very well worn machine, a good bit of weathering, it would do that for you. The wheel axles ends are picked out in yellow where possible, including one with a yellow square, but the rest are round. That's standard fare for a 47, by the way. And at the end here, the depot plaque is picked out with a blue background rather than a black background. That is also correct. Normally on rail freight liveried machines, the subsector repeaters at the doors would be further down, but for this European style rail freight distribution livery, as you can see, they're much higher up. The cantrill stripe is accurately portrayed along. Now, if I actually get the if I actually just bring the locomotive to this end so you can see it clearly, it's just been there's a little bit of there for the kick plate, and you can see the rivets popped up there. Now on the Hornby 56 that I've got, it's a different style of kick plate, and you actually could feel the rough surface of it. Here it's a little bit smooth, but that would be nitpicking. The locomotive at the cab end, it's the same cab ends in both sides. This is the end that wasn't rebuilt, and you can see there the marker lights, the headlights as well. Everything's all picked out superbly. One thing I have noticed on this is you can just see there, and it even has a little wobble on it. Again, that is accurate to a 47. If it was to stop in real life, it would wobble. So a good note of that. Sprung buffers at both ends. Now the other end of the locomotive is exactly the same, except it's got a flush cab end. The real version of 47375 was once involved in an accident, and the cab had to be rebuilt. For those of you who don't know what I mean by that, with it having a flush cab end, there's no recess where the head code panel used to be, and so they have different marker lights installed as well. Later on in the video, I'll actually let you see this bringing in the parcels train, and we'll get a couple of bits of rolling stock stored away. That's actually why I can't do that now, is I'm going to have to get another unit to build up to put some rolling stock away. But we'll get that cleared later on. The reason why I'm actually going to wait till later on is I also bought something else, and that was at the Cooper Model Railway Club Christmas exhibition, and you'll see that as part of the consist that this locomotive is going to pull. We're going to return now for the next few bits of this video to the street scene. But before we see the street scene, let's have a commercial break.
Courage, mon ami, courage. What's this? No. Oh, these videos on the blink. Why don't he get it fixed?
Well, he bought it. Now he's waiting for the repairman to turn up.
Should have gone to Radio Rentals.
Should have gone to Radio Rentals. They usually send round a bloke the same day. I can't work in these conditions.
Fancy a pint?
Now you're talking.
Radio Rentals. You'll be glued to our sets, not stuck with them.
I hope he was referring to a pint of Coca-Cola in that. I suspect he wasn't, though. There's the road surface there. We'll come and talk about that much later on in the programme, because obviously that's still drying yet. So it gives me a chance to move on and do something else. Well, this is Radio Rentals Mark 1. But the windows are too big. Sorry, the windows are too small. They need to be a lot bigger. And I'm going to actually bring the door out a bit so it sits a bit more flush. The rest of the structure is okay, but it really needs to be completely improved. It's going to occupy the same footprint as the current one, this. And if I just put that on there, that piece there will be absolutely ideal to site the new Radio Rentals on. These are going to come off televisions and they're going to go into the new one, but there will be a new floor, and I'm going to spray the floor with this light blue paint, because after all, Radio Rentals colours are blue. Who says you can't have a blue floor? And that's what I'm going to do. I showed you in a previous video how I built this, but I'll briefly do a talk through of each bit as I go, just to let you see how it's going to look. See, the windows will be bigger, the door will be a bit smaller in terms of height, but there will be no other active change to the building. Well, actually there will be one more change. I might just have to stick a back scene in here too. I'll go ahead and get all the parts cut that I want to get cut, and I'll briefly show you it. I won't show you it getting all built together. I'll show you the finished article. This will show you the indication of the current difficulties I've got. This is looking in from the back. I've got to apply legs to that TV. This one should hopefully, all being well, sit there. And this is the back wall. I'll have the back scene put on it. I've got a side bit here that'll go here. Two earlier attempts that I managed to get wrong. I've also made an internal ceiling, sprayed it with some white, just to try and brighten it up, and it'll sit something I'm hoping like that. What I'll try and do is get the TVs in, get that bit on, and get it built, and then I've got the roof to put on after I've done the back here, and then we'll have a look at it. The roof is the slate stuff that I bought from Scale Model Scenery, so you'll see that in a little bit, and then we'll see what the completed article is like. It's nearly done. You can see there, I don't know how well the camera picks it up, but I've got a back scene in the unit now, with a couple of tellies. There we go. And you see the back scene actually goes above the false ceiling that I've included in the building too. Although where I've put the false ceiling has actually worked out quite well, just to try and brighten it up a bit. The last thing that's to go on here now is actually the roof. And this will be getting done with these TX301 Oscar concrete pan tiles. There'll be an angle here. Because we're on a corner, it would look stupid if I was to just have it going away wrong and then gone down like that. So I'll need to work it out by going along here for a bit. The angle will probably have to be here and then cut it. So luckily I've got some scrap pieces here that I can use for one part of it. As you can see for there, that looks ideal. And then I've also got some of this here. This is all a modelling card, and that'll make the rest of the roof there. And it certainly is looking a hell of a lot better than the old one. This will also be appearing, this photo, on a couple of Facebook groups that I'm on. One about radio rentals, there's another one on Gen X, and probably transdiffusion as well. I'll let them have a look at this as well. You know, it's actually a real pity that no manufacturer has actually ever come up with a television rental shop off the shelf. I really do. Even in the 1970s and 80s, when there was still I wouldn't say it was a boom time for the TV rental industry, because it was in the mid-80s it started to go downhill. I have to say, I'm very surprised that to this day no manufacturer has ever come out with a TV rental shop off the shelf, either full build or low relief. There's one for you. That's Radio Rentals now in the position it'll occupy here on the layout. Obviously the scene isn't finished yet. I still need to do the pavements and get the road markings down, and we'll be doing the pavements next. Just one thing to point out to you as well, and I'll just bring the camera in. I forgot to mention as well, when I've done the roof, I've actually put this strip that comes supplied with the kit, the roof tiles on there, which helps with the join of there. It's not 100% perfect, but it's there, and it hides the join between the two angles of the roof. That'll probably come in useful when I build the quadrant park next month. The building's a little bit lower, so there's a little bit more headroom between the junction box and the unit. Obviously, once the unit is put it down there and let you see what I mean. I'll come back a bit. It'll probably be, there's not even, it won't be much, but it'll probably just be that much higher. That's Radio Rentals built anyway. I just wonder how many of you watching this video right now actually remember Radio Rentals. There's a link I'll put in the description below to an article by Glenn Aylett, and it's on the website Transdiffusion. It's worth having a read about because it tells you about the long lost story of TV rentals. And in fact, when my parents moved back up from England in 1974, they had rented from Multi-Broadcast. Now, from what I understand, Multi-Broadcast was owned by Thorn, or was taken over by Thorn, and it was absorbed into Radio Rentals. DER was also owned by Thorn, and they eventually got rid of the DER name and had Radio Rentals on it. Companies like DER, Rediffusion, British Relay are long forgotten now, I'm afraid, but Radio Rentals still lives on, at least certainly on Clydebridge station. The building, of course, is not 100% perfect, but I'm very happy that it's a lot better looking than what it used to be. And as I say, it's just typical of the sort of one that you'd see on the high street or town centre in the late 80s, early 90s. It's got the correct Radio Rentals signage. At a later stage, I'll be buying some burglar alarms to put on a couple of the buildings that I've got. Not just Radio Rentals, but the new Quadrant Park nightclub, and also on B&Q in Halfords over in the retail park area, and the new build that I'll put in the retail park area as well, because obviously you would need a burglar alarm, but I'll get them at Model Rail Scotland at the West Hill Wagon Works stall. And as I say, if you ever think about wanting to build a radio rentals or Granada TV rentals shop for yourself, then please go ahead. Right, they were a familiar face on the high street right up until 2000, when the two companies were merged to form Box Clever, who no longer have a presence on the high street, they're just online. And if I just, although it's not very clear, you can just see it in there somehow. I don't know how clear that is, but there is a back scene in there. Anyway, it's a bloody sight better than the old radio rentals, isn't it? Let's go on to the pavements, shall we? Well, here's the pavements that we're going to build, and we've got here the Kilo X-ray 023 Oscar Oscar slabbed pavement manholes from Scale Model Scenery, and this is actually an older one I took off the previous road surface. I'll need that for the first section, because when I get the sheet out, you'll see that it is a bit shorter than what I need. A bit longer than what I need, sorry. That's that there. Steel rule, empty ballpoint pen for scoring, scalpel or sharp craft knife, coloured felt pens, deluxe material rocket car glue and Yoo-hoo glue. I've got those ready. Cutting mat. It does say a Pritt stick type glue stick, but I won't bother with that. I'll just use the Yoo-hoo glue. I've got loads of it. Fine sandpaper and tweezers if you need to, if you feel you need to. I certainly don't. What you get in this sheet is, these are your corner pieces, 15 of them. Additional curbstones. You got all your actual pavement sheets themselves. I don't know why the hell I'm doing this wrong like that. And there's actual manhole covers there you can cut out as well, which we will do during the process in the building. And there we have the, I've actually got two sheets joined together there, but that's not a problem. Now it does build this kit 200 centimetres of pavement. What you've got to remember here is that my pavement is going to be a bit wider. Just because of the nature of, I've chosen to have a wide pavement because of some of the wide buildings that I've got, and that therefore means that I'm not going to get as much out of the pack as what I would hope to have in the first place. But that's what the kit is like. Now, if you actually fancy having a go at it, then just stay tuned and see how badly I can do it, and it'll give you an idea on how not to do it. Pavement assembly instructions. You roughly cut out the base layer templates, and then as we're using the laser cut version, we'll go into the base layers themselves. 2 sections are required for each length. I'll glue these two together with Yoo-hoo glue, then I'll cut out the first section of weathered concrete paving slab, light grey, which will go onto this. What I'll do is I'll carry on, I'll build that, and then I'll show you what a finished section looks like. Obviously it's a bit dark in that corner, but that's radio rentals in position on top of the slabbed area. Just could take it off a minute. How I done it was, in the kit that's supplied you get a sheet of slabbed as well, and Scale Model Scenery sell those separately. I stuck the 2 long pieces I needed onto that, and I added a little bit extra, so I didn't cut round them. I actually cut, well, I did cut round them at this here and here, but the 4th piece, I cut it, 4th area, I cut it a little bit further away from them. So once I've done this front piece, I could overlap. You could see the join there, but it's better than what I had on here before, where I don't know if I can show you up here. Yes, I can actually. You can see there, that'll be getting eliminated as I do this. Stuff falling over in the shed. The kit also comes with additional curbstones, and I've put them on there. These vehicles I've put here now because I'm not actually sure whether the pavement's a bit longer than what it was, but anyway, we'll find that out in due course. What I've done is I've put these vehicles here because this will give me an idea for what I need in terms of where the next section will start, and I'll do that along here. That'll be done off camera, and it's necessary for the building of the quadrant park. The next thing I've got to do though is actually put in the road markings on here, and also I'll maybe put a little manhole here and one in the middle of the road up here. If you really want to know a good position of where to put manholes and drains, just look in your own street. There's one actually just outside my property, in fact. But as I say, I'm thinking that when I rebuild the quadrant park, it'll go here. It will be a little bit smaller, so it won't be as wide. And that'll then be that. I need to have that kit built there now because that's got to give me an idea for the footprint. But back to this, yes. So the road markings getting put down here, and I'll put them down before I apply any of the street furniture, because if I put street furniture down and then try and put the road markings in, it's going to be impossible. And that's actually going to be the next thing I'll do, is I'll put the road markings down for here, just round here and up to where the roundabout is going to be, and here. Now that'll all be done. I'll do a lot of that on camera, but I'll give you little hints and tips. Off camera, I'll build the next bit of the pavement here. I'll know exactly where that'll go after I've got the white line down here. And as I say, that pavement will be built off camera. I'm also starting to build another little storage unit for some more of the rolling stock. And it's going to sit down here, so some of the boxes are getting taken up to the house eventually. They're going in underneath Mum's old bed, in the storage area under Mum's old bed. So it did have a use there. But that clearly is obviously that bit of pavement finished there. As I say, I've got this whole wide area here because there'll be a telephone box, railings going in, and a telephone junction box as well. I've actually got them. I got them at Model Rail Scotland a couple of years ago. Never got around to using them yet. All this time. Okay, we're moving on now to the Romeo X-Ray 004 Oscar self-adhesive road markings from Scale Model Scenery, and we'll be making a start round here. I've placed these two vehicles in position because this is roughly where I would like the road width to be about, and I'll put the centre line probably, if I move this van along a little bit, that's probably where I want the centre line to be. So I'll apply a centre line shortly. Now, there's a whole variety of road markings in this pack. I've already took it out of the plastic packaging. And by the way, a little tip for you. The plastic packaging is useful for making glass for windows. And there's all sorts of various ones here. We've got yellow ones. We'll be using some yellow ones. And some white ones. So a lot of these are all going to get used. There's a whole variety of them. The camera might not pick up very clearly, but I won't be using all of these. There's double yellow lines, the dreaded motorist double yellow. And we've got here curved double yellows. a little tip for you, and this especially applies with the case with the double yellow lines. When you're applying your lines, do your curves and corners first. The reason for that is, by having the corners and curves done, you'll be able to work out exactly how long the straights need to be, because you just put them down and then you'll just cut it right at the end where it meets up with the corner. If you were to go and do it the other way around and put the straights down first, you might be too short or you might be too long, you're having to keep cutting them. So always do the corners first. That way you'll be able to get the exact measurements that you need. I've moved the post office van out of the way so I can get in there. That's the first corner I need, and I need its opposite one there. I'll then apply the yellow lines that are straight. And there's also a roundabout sign, roundabout markings. Here we are. 2 supplied. And I actually need both, believe it or not. Now, one's larger than the other, but that doesn't matter because the larger one will do just the same job. And in fact, the larger one might be useful here. Anyway, we'll get that sorted out. There's all sorts of other lines in here. Bus stops, I'll actually have to use one of those for here much later on. Giveaway signs as well. There's all sorts of things in this kit. Now also, I've got here the scale model scenery Lima X-ray 350 Oscar manholes and drains. I had a small pack of these, but I need a much larger pack of them. One of the problems with them is actually a pack of the old weight road I've done is there, because I just used the ones that you could cut out and glue down, and that does not look right. You've already seen me use these before on the layout over by the Co-op supermarket. I don't know how well the camera can pick that up, but there you go, there's one there. What I'll have to do is to get a wee pencil and measure round one of them and cut a small gap, and then it'll just fit in. And there's also some of these ones here as well, triangular ones, but I'll mainly be interested in the rectangular ones. Pop them down there now. We'll get to them shortly. I'll get the little hole cut. I'll need to get the glue as well to put them in with. Obviously I'm doing these before I put the street furniture down, just makes it look a lot better. I'll go and crack on now, and I'll see you on the other side. That's the first roundabout paintwork down, and you can see double yellow lines. I've not done anything along this area here because I have to wait until I get the pavements in on this section, which is going to be the next job. That'll be done off camera. And you'll also notice that they've got the Ford Transit van in position here. The road markings there will get put into place after the pavement's down as well, and it'll be the same here. But I've managed to find out that the bus goes along there, no problem. Oops. And that goes back in there. There are a couple of complicating factors coming in here, because there is actually going to be a lot of lay-by on this next section of road for the bank area. That won't stop me from putting in the back pavements first though, and that's what I'll do next. And then I've got a little bit of offcuts of double yellow lines from here. I've got them stuck there now. That isn't ideal, so what I'll do is I'll stick them. And offcuts are useful because I'll need them for up here, you see, so it's actually, I'm not letting them go to waste. When you see this in a few seconds, the pavement should be all down here. It'll take me several minutes, you'll just have to wait several seconds. That's how far I've managed to get up to on the street scene. there was a problem here, and it's just slightly obvious if I do it like that. It had actually come up quite a bit like it here. I think I'm going to have to put laser cut kit glue in there and then weigh it down with this tin. I used Yoo-hoo glue here, left it, and it has actually dried. Otherwise these buildings were toppling over. It's alright here, but there we go. We've got about 1/5 of the street scene done in terms of pavement and road marking slightly less. I will be putting lettering here with loading only into the lay-by. That'll come at a later date. It's just a little bit too cold in here to film this in mid-January, so I'll maybe leave the rest of the lettering for here until a later time. Also notice that a piece has fallen off the Quadrant Park nightclub, but that isn't a big issue, because of course that's going to get replaced, and that's what you're going to see in the February update. I'm going to be rebuilding the Quadrant Park nightclub, and it's going to be based, the front of it is going to be based but not identical to Truth nightclub in Leven. So you'll see that getting done, and as I actually speak I've already started on the project. I hope it's going to turn out better than this. I'll retain this for now though, obviously, just in case something goes wrong and I have to revert to this, or maybe make a new version of this. Whatever gets done will be a bloody sight better than this one, I can assure you. Two things left to do, and the first of these is to give you a quick running shot of 47375. There we go, that's it in platform 6 with its parcels train. This is something that I think is related to the weather. This could be a problem, but I've noticed that I'm still having the problem with, if I put the points like that to go into 6, there's no power going into 6 or 4, but like that there is, so I suspect that's got something to do with the cold temperatures and the weather right now. Nothing serious, we'll get it sorted one way or another. If it's this point that's faulty, it'll have to be replaced, as will the track. Nothing I can do about it, if that's what it comes to. You might have noticed also with the parcels train, we've got this new wagon here. It's a stowage van. There's its number there, 80301 NSV. I bought this at the North Road train stall when I was buying 56135. And you might think, well, you've got the doors on the wrong side, Robert, because there's the doors there. Well, that's the thing, because sometimes what they would do is some vehicles like the NTX one that you see here have doors on both sides, but others only had doors on one side. So that's what I've done here. In theory I could put the doors on the other side too if I so wish, and there's a one there, so I'll maybe do that for another time. But as I say, very good addition to it. It's still not working properly. This seems to be the troublesome one, but what I've done is that the BG that came off of here I've kept, because this is my new stand down here to put more rolling stock in, and this is a track I bought from Scooney Hobbies, which I'll cut up into sections, copy decks in, and that'll do for some of the rolling stock. It is the wrong size, I know, because if you look at that, you can see. So the coaching stock will have to go like that. I will make sure I do the measurements properly the next time for when I get another one of those, which I will need, I know that. So that's that in here. Last bit of the video is to get the shoutouts done. As part of the new format of the video, the shout-outs are going to be done at the end. Now the first one I want to give a shout out to is a layout I only discovered recently over the festive period on YouTube. Wessex and West. He hasn't posted a lot of videos up, but he has what he has posted are very interesting videos. He's set in Cornwall, or the layout's set in Cornwall, and it's round about the same period as mine, the BR sectorisation period, and there's quite a good few running shots and running session videos in it. So I would suggest you go and check him out. Wessex and West. The next shout out I'll give is Pride Parkway. Jeff runs that, and it's a double deck layout, and it's literally got something for everyone. On the top deck we have a double O gauge layout set in winter. On the lower deck, an N gauge layout set in summer, and it's set in the northeast of England during the GNER period. So if you check that layout out, and not wanting to bias myself against Steam, if you check out Tony's Northeastern, it's set in the late BR Steam period. So this is from 1961 onwards. If you give that a check out, and these three are all on YouTube. A couple of non-railway shout-outs, and of course my good friends at Wrangler. I'm a proud partner of the Wrangler clothing company. Wrangler.com will take you to the layout, to the website in your territory. And lastly, a shout out to my good friend rugby commentator Nick Mullins. You'll find him on Twitter and Instagram at @andnickmullins. As I say, next month the main job is going to be rebuilding the Quadrant Park nightclub. I've already started that, and bits of the February update have been filmed already for that. It's going to be a busy month for videos, because there's going to be my visit to Model Rail Scotland. More about that in the February update. And there's also going to be a video looking at this locomotive. 47050. This was a Bachmann locomotive which has come all the way, whoops, and I notice it's derailed a little bit there. It's come all the way from an eBay seller. It was DCC fitted, and it carries the original rail freight livery. And I'll do a video talking about this locomotive, and actually talking about the evolution of the rail freight livery. It won't go into the later Transrail load haul Freightliner period, but it'll certainly talk about how it went from BR Blue to this, and then to the sectorisation livery, like what you saw on 47375. So as I say, it's going to be a busy time for videos on this channel, and I might even squeeze in, if that's the right word to use, a modelling idea video. And I'm toying with the idea of looking at the new station at Leven, but in the BR sectorisation period, how you would do it. I've got it worked out in my head, so I'll maybe even do that over the next few weeks as well. Coming up on screen shortly will be some buttons for you. One is a look at our most recent video here on this channel. Another is a playlist for the Model Railway. And the third one, well, that's an invitation for you to look at my channel completely and to subscribe to it. And if you could please subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Well, that's all for the January update. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen in this month's update, and I look forward to your company next time. Whatever you're doing, please do take care of yourselves, won't you, and enjoy your layouts. And I shall see you soon. Cheerio!